the Real Bold Truth Show. I am your host, Chanel Walker Bailey, or for those reading Angels of Discovery, I am also Starlee Bryant. I will graciously respond to both. So I pray today finds you encouraged and victorious in every area of your life. As always, I thank you for tuning in with me this week. So, before we get started, I will share my wow of the week, which is actually a quote very complimentary to the show topic today. And it says, "Don't let the silly things in life steal your happiness." I thought that was a fabulous quote. I don't know where it originated from, but I actually like it a lot. So, today's show title is Senseless Small Stuff. It's based off of a blog I wrote probably about 2 years ago and still is really good and prevalent today. Now, this topic is a bit lighter than some of the past shows, which I think you'll find a bit refreshing and humorous as well. So let's just get into it. So most are familiar with that old cliche, don't sweat the small stuff, right? We probably have either recited it or we've heard it more than a dozen times throughout our lives. When these words are being spoken, do we really understand in depth what we're actually stating or what we're hearing? Or is it just easier to express these overused terms without deep consideration in an effort to have something to say, wrap up conversation, or to appear clever in the company of other people? Well, for some of us, it may be a combination of all of the above. The small stuff phrase is actually a powerful group of words that, if taken to heart, can help in avoiding unnecessary agony and grief. Now, the statement simply means choose not to make big deals out of minor situations. We should always aim to choose our battles very wisely, and I know that's not always easy to do. I know that is the case for me. Everything does not require an argument or us needing to just get our point across, even if we're absolutely right. So life is already difficult enough when considering stressors on the job, with those kids, with finances and health matters, and other challenges that we have to face every day. Yet many are still so easily moved to great anger when someone that we claim to love just can't seem to put that cap back on the toothpaste. I mean, is that really worth it? Why is that? When thinking about the larger impact or the grand scheme of things, is all that negative energy really worth it in the first place? I don't think so. All right, so here is my real bold truth. You know, I always have to share one with you on the show around this topic. So, my husband has developed into a chronic snorer. Don't tell nobody. When he is in a deep sleep, he literally sounds like a mile-long wind tunnel, y'all. His blares are deep, long, and can wake me clear out of my slumber or prevent me from meeting sleep altogether sometimes. Now, this used to simply infuriate me beyond description. When it first started happening, I was just like, where the heck is this coming from? I would shake and wake him yelling and screaming for him to shut up. Of course, he would completely be oblivious to the accusations and charge me with being, over-exaggerating. So I started to become chronically sleep deprived as a result. I was averaging about 3 hours of straight sleep each night. So either I was awakened by his snoring, my child, or my very own natural instincts. This was going on for months, and I did not know how much more that I could actually take without losing my sanity. Y'all, I was ready to move out of the house. I'm just trying to keep it real. Real bold truth, I was ready to move out the house. It was so serious. I would wake up very grumpy and constantly complained about not getting enough rest due to his snoring. So, of course, this would just cause him to get offended, cause strife in our relationship that was completely unnecessary when we, just like many other couples, were facing issues much more serious beyond those snores. Now, don't get me wrong. Sleep deprivation is indeed a very serious matter, not one to take very lightly. Everyone needs the proper amount of rest for paramount functionality. I also understand that the body goes through its best healing process when we're asleep. This is especially important for people facing medical issues. So we know that they say that 8 hours of sleep is the recommended amount for the average adult. And at that time, I suspected that 3-hour increments over time could ultimately have some serious health consequences. And that was the thing that was making me upset. So my husband had no idea how he sounded when he was asleep. So guess what I did? One day I taped him and I emailed the video clip to him so he would find it in his inbox the next day. I know that was terrible, right? But I just had to prove my little point. When he viewed it, he laughed. But I think he was a bit disturbed at the same time because he didn't understand, well, where has the snoring pattern come from? He's never had it before. Well, when did this whole thing begin to happen? When I consider his reaction, I had to ask myself if what I was going to keep nagging him about something he obviously can't control, or find a way to work around this with him. I further considered how silly it would actually sound to disclose to our friends and our loved ones that we are going to separate or go our separate ways because I just can't take his snoring. Now, I could just imagine the confused and awkward looks on everybody's faces like, Chanel, really? You gotta be kidding me. So many couples are facing so much more and still they survive. But I have heard of women who have actually moved out of the bedroom and even out of the house over a matter like this. Silly small stuff, right? That's what I suspect this was. I declared that that was not going to be me. I decided that this was, again, small stuff. This was a small stuff situation when I consider my life with my husband overall. I would rather hear that wind tunnel for the rest of my existence than to be without him indefinitely. That's just a fact. We are going to take a short break, so please do stay tuned for the conclusion of this message. You don't want to miss it.
Do you believe in angels? Well, you really should. Some are good and some not so good. But if you look for them through the eyes of love, you will find them all around us.
Thanks for staying with me as I am talking about not sweating the small stuff. So getting back to my husband. In truth, life is changing and we are getting older and have entered into this new season that's a bit unfamiliar for both of us. We have made commitments to take care of one another until the end, so adjustments clearly need to be made on both of our parts. So I have the responsibility of changing me in this situation. That was all I had control over. That is all I have control over. Had I continued to badger him about this, it could have potentially caused division between us and spiral into something much, much bigger. This was absolutely not worth it. Now, when he snores, I just gently, I shake him and nudge him and encourage him to turn on his side so he can silence the noise. And he shifts without argument. We have come to a mutual, unspoken agreement. Not a big deal at all. Next. So I would encourage anyone listening to this show that if you are one who is known to take every little thing so deeply, to look at the bigger picture. Are little offenses really worth ruining your marriage, your friendship, employment opportunities, or other valuable relationships in your life? Think about it. Stressing over small matters don't only ruin relationships, but one's health as well over time. It could take effect of your health over time. Strife, resentment, and unforgiveness can set in when relationships break down and you can find yourself looking back and not remembering why things fell apart in the first place. Well, the matters are just that simple. As long as people are human, small annoyances are just bound to happen. They're unavoidable. We have to coexist because this is just how we were created. If you think about it in the Bible, in the beginning, God said it is not good for man to be alone, and it truly is not. We will just have to assess if that person or that relationship is valuable enough to overlook those minute situations and just begin to compromise. Now, as for my snoring husband, I have not given up on a more permanent solution to this problem because guess what? I still am sleep deprived at times. It's not as bad as it used to be, so I know that the adjustments that we both made regarding my, that I've made regarding my attitude have made a big, big difference. But until we're able to afford that sleep number bed to elevate his side and eliminate the horrid noises he makes, I may have to spend a small fortune on some breathe right strips or some duct tape, whichever one is cheaper. So if you see my husband and part of his mustache or something is missing or not lined up properly, just know that he experienced an adhesive removal malfunction. Act like you don't see it and just walk away. Don't sweat the small stuff. I love you, honey, my snoring bear and all. Well, that is my show for today. Join me next week for another Real Bold Truth topic. And remember, as always, to stay real, be bold, and tell the truth in Jesus' name.